Following Tony Alexander is never an enviable slot as a speaker. The good news is I'm a millennial and he set very low expectations, so we'll see if I can clear the bar today. So thank you to Delta for hosting this event. Thank you to all of you for coming along. It's a real pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in a room full of people talking about stuff because we weren't able to do that for such a long time. My name's Sylvie, I'm the head of HR at MyHR, we're Delta's HR partner, and today I'll be looking at resilience from an HR lens and highlighting some key risks. So topics that came up when we were brainstorming ideas for this session, as you can imagine, were quite varied. So we had working from home, restructures, dealing with burnout, leadership, good and bad, managing personal grievance claims, labour resourcing, which Tony talked about. So there was a lot to choose from, and what I've done is focused on three main areas of risk. We've got some comments and tips, and then some discussion at the end about who MyHR are and how we can help you manage those risks in your businesses. Cool. There's Sarah, who's in our team. Cool. So disputes resolution is a key topic, and given the stress of last year and what was going on in the economy, it was something that we were talking a lot about. We are seeing a really significant rise in personal grievance activity. So a personal grievance, for those of you who don't know, is the legal mechanism for someone to raise a claim against a business for unfair or disadvantageous treatment. The ERA, the Employment Relations Authority, which is the first decision-making body in the hierarchy of employment law, is booked up until September of this year with claims. There's an enormous backlog of claims coming through from last year. We're seeing twice as many claims as would normally be put through to the Employment Relations Authority. And there are a couple of key messages to take away from this. So the first is that people are stressed and they are scared. People raise these claims when they are worried about their own circumstances and want to get something out of a business, so people are worried. The second is that employees are much more likely to engage in litigation than they have been in the past, so we're really mindful that this is an increased risk to businesses as you go about, let alone anything kind of outrageous or different like a restructure, but even your day-to-day business, that these claims are becoming much more common. It's not a good sign when the millennial can't work the tech. Sorry, everyone. Cool. There are no special rules given to businesses when you are restructuring or making changes in your business. You must have a genuine commercial reason for running that restructure. There's obviously a wide range of factors that would lead you to consider making changes in your business, but it must be genuine. It can't be because you dislike someone, and it can't be because you haven't tried other options. So a genuine commercial reason is really critical. Where most businesses get tripped up, of course, is running a fair process. So you must consult with your team, you must give them as much information as you are considering in making these changes, and you must listen to their feedback before you go ahead and make any decisions. So the fair process is where most of the businesses that we work with will see risk in this area. It's just as important as the reason that you're making the changes for, so it's really critical to get right. Lastly, on the disciplinary side of things, employees are fighting dismissal decisions much harder. It used to be a couple of years ago that if someone was a bit of an asshole and you called them out on it and you moved them on from your business, that was usually the end of it. People knew that they were mostly in the wrong. What we're seeing these days is people, again, are fighting those decisions much, much harder, and they're much more willing to engage advocacy or lawyer support at an early stage of the process, which means your T's and I's have to be crossed and dotted for you to make sure that you're running this process risk-free. So the triangular employment relations, oh, is that gone? Oh, mine's gone, you can see. Oh, cool. So the Triangular Employment Amendment Bill took effect in June 2020, and what it means is if you bring on a temp or a contractor through a labour hire agency, they can pursue you for a personal grievance just like they can pursue the labour hire company. So the idea is to make sure that you are treating your temps and contractors fairly, and that if you are doing something dodgy or inappropriate, that you carry as much risk as the labour hire company does for making sure that they're being treated fairly. When a temporary contractor does raise a personal grievance against the labour hire company, they can add you as the hiring company to the personal grievance. What the hiring company can also do if they've had a PG raised by someone who is engaged at your business is they can add you as the client to the personal grievance as a responding party. Practically, it's unlikely that that will happen. It obviously burns bridges pretty quickly, but do be aware that a PG from a temporary contractor can come from either the employee raising the claim or the labour hire company that's responding. The same rules apply as for normal personal grievances. You'll get a statement of problem from the Employment Relations Authority and the process carries on from there. It just means that there's one less wall between engaging a temporary contractor and passing off all legal liability to the labour hire company. The Employment Relations Authority can also decide who bears how much of the responsibility and apportion blame and therefore apportion penalties. So it's not a given that you will be on the hook for thousands of dollars if you've been doing the right thing the whole way through. As with most HR and employment relations issues, you will probably be fine. Second key area of risk, or third, is that the Pay Equity Amendment Act came into force on November 2020. There is now a legal mechanism for employees to raise claims related to industry-wide pay discrimination. So it's focused on women-dominated occupations. That's where all of the claims have come from so far. The practical perspective on this is that there is quite a process for them to go through to prove this claim. They can't just send you an email saying, I think I'm underpaid, the police force is mostly male and they earn 10k a year on average more than we do. There's quite a process. What we have seen is that it's usually workforces that are unionised who do go through this process because the unions have the resources to do the research, put the claim together, front it, negotiate with the employer and see it through to a conclusion. But do be aware that there is now a legal mechanism for claiming this if you're not already aware. If you do receive a claim, you have 45 working days to determine whether you think the employee actually has a claim that you want to engage in. 45 working days works out to be kind of 9 weeks, so you do have some time, but it is important that you get professional advice sooner rather than later so that you can manage the process and respond as you need to. If you disagree with the claim, normal disputes processes apply, so nothing too new or extraordinary there. I don't really like talking about risk and problems without also talking about solutions because we're all here today to learn what we can take away and take back to our clients. So in terms of building resilience, we've put together a list of really easy actions, starting with don't be a dick. It's amazing how often we find ourselves talking to clients about making sure that you come at this from a personal perspective first and not always a business perspective. That can be really hard when we're fighting against economic headwinds, as Tony talked about, trying to make sure we've got enough workers and enough people in our business to get the work done. But if you aren't a dick, most of the time you will come out okay from a legal risk perspective. You can replace that word with a pejorative of your choice if you prefer. The second key thing is make sure you have signed employment agreements for every employee in your business. This is really important because if you are audited or if a lawyer gets involved, you face a potential penalty of $10,000 per employee that does not have a signed employment agreement in place. An employment agreement from 2012 won't cut it. The law has changed a lot since then. If you've had a casual person come onto your workforce as a permanent person, the signed casual employment agreement won't count. You really must have a current signed employment agreement to make sure that you are covered on that side of things. The second reason it's really important is if you are thinking about making changes to your business which involve changes to terms and conditions, changes to the structure of your business, this is the first thing an employee will look at and it's the first thing a lawyer will pick holes in. So related to that, please have up-to-date current job descriptions. People's jobs change, that's pretty normal, and a job description doesn't have to be a completely doesn't have to describe their job in its entirety, but it must be as holistic and as wraparound as you can so that, one, you're meeting that legal compliance requirement, but also if you do come to make those changes, no one's going to argue that their job as your sales manager actually is their job as your marketing manager and therefore they shouldn't be included in this restructure, which can be very frustrating, especially when you're already in a consultation process. The fourth obvious one, these are all pretty obvious by the way, so spoilers, but make sure you're paying your people correctly and fairly. If you're not sure what your Holidays Act obligations are, and that's going to be changing in the next couple of years, if you've got really complex time and wage records if you're working shifts or if your clients are. This is really, really important, and it's surprisingly easy to get wrong. A lot of the government agencies had to do a big sweep of their records in the last 3 to 4 years, and a number of them, including, unsurprisingly, the Ministry of Education, had to go back and make significant payments to their employees. Air New Zealand had to do the same. So it sounds really obvious, but make sure that you are paying people correctly, and they will get less grumpy with you, and you will be at less risk of a claim later on. This ties into the point I talked about earlier. If you are making changes to your business, there will be a correct process to follow if those changes are more than 20% of someone's job, give or take. So if you are changing their terms, maybe you're removing a company vehicle from them. If your clients are looking to make changes where they are changing the structure of a business and the buckets of work people are responsible for change, you must consult with them. It's not optional, as a requirement. So if their job is changing, their T's and C's are changing, do have that conversation and put that proposal to them so that they can seek advice if they want to, come back to you with feedback, and then you can consider their feedback before making a decision. Tony talked before about meth heads and marijuana smokers, so this is a slightly contrary point to him. But if you are carrying dead wood, and by that I mean people in your business who are no good and are not adding value, or who are difficult, or who are being obstructive, get some advice and do some pruning in your business, because it's really hard out there. It's going to be a really tough 12 months after what has been a really challenging 12 months for most of us. There are always ways to get rid of people in your business, even if it's just paying them some money to go away. That's a bit painful and is frustrating when the person you're dealing with has been a massive arsehole and you're having to pay them money, but it is possible. If there are people in your team who shouldn't be there, go away, seek some advice, make sure that you move them on as practically and in as much of a don't be a dick way as you can. Your business will be better for it, and it means that you can move forward without the time and energy that managing a difficult person requires. And lastly, sign up to MyHR. So as a solution for a lot of the compliance issues, that's what MyHR is here to do. So as a business, we were established in 2013. We're an outsourced HR platform providing support for all HR matters. We combine HR experts like myself. Not everyone swears as much as I do, if that's not your thing, but we do have some swearers in the team, with smart HR software that we've bootstrapped to be a tool for small and medium-sized businesses. We now have over 1,000 businesses that we support in New Zealand and Australia, which is really exciting, and our clients are enormously varied. So our smallest client has 1 employee, our largest has 750, and everything between: franchises, trusts, charities, private businesses. We cover the lot. We've got people in all industries and in all regions. So if anyone wants story time when we're having drinks later on, we've got some crackers that we can share. And we've got really experienced frontline HR team who are close to all of the current employment issues. And it's our job to be across things like the Pay Equity Amendment Act, like the Triangular Employment Bills, so that we can advise you and proactively help you manage those risks for your clients and your business. We have a retention rate of, as of today, 96%. We don't have any lock-in contracts. It's on us to make sure that we are delivering a really excellent service and making sure you're getting value from the relationship. And our MyHR clients have access to our Platinum Services division as well, which is a fixed fee recruitment offering, a fixed fee health and safety piece, and a consulting offer, which looks and feels like traditional HR consulting, but we want to make sure that we can help you solve any problem in your business if it's people related, and that's what we're here to do. So with a minute 20 left, I've clearly spoken faster than I expected. Please do get in touch if you have any questions. Again, I'm Sylvie. I'm moving into a new role as head of the Platinum Services division, which is very exciting, but you can still contact me about regular HR stuff. And given you've had a few of us talking at you now, can we use the last minute to stand up and stretch and just get a bit of blood flowing so that the last speaker of the day has an engaged audience to come to. And thanks so much for your time.